Hi, everybody, and welcome. Today, we have a remarkable show for you. We are going to talk about women in technology. And as you well know, that is a rare bird. We do not find a lot of women in technology, especially women leaders who are as successful as the two ladies who will join us today. They are both exceptional women awardees, and we are so happy to have them with us. We have Debbie Mcclure. Debbie is the Vice President for Sales for the Americas, both North and South America, for Dropbox. And before that, she was at Cisco for 21 years, a superstar, moving through multiple parts of the company. And she knows all about the few women that are in sales, and is going to give us some of her success strategies tonight. And with her, we have Sunny Webb. Sunny holds 37 patents. Yes, 37 patents. Remarkable. She used to be head of R&D globally for Accenture, and she is now the founder and managing partner of Hummingbird Search Partners, which is a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company. And you have heard a lot about SPACs in the last few months, and she is one of the few women who is running a SPAC. So we're going to learn more about that too. I am Lorraine Siegel, and I am the chair, CEO, and founder of the Exceptional Women Awardees Foundation. We enable high-level, high-potential women to rise to meet their dreams. Why did I start this foundation? Well, I never had a mentor or a coach. Early in my career as a lawyer and then as a CEO of a number of different companies, and even as a board director, I did not have a mentor. And I wanted to be sure that women who walk the road less traveled, like our two guests tonight and myself, would always, for the rest of their lives, be surrounded by women leaders who would support, enable, and advise them. And that is exactly what we do at EWA. And hopefully tonight you will learn some of the success strategies from our amazing guests. Welcome, ladies. Let's go straight into it. Sunny, you hold 37 patents. I don't think I know anybody who holds 37 patents. How did that happen?
That's a great question. Honestly, I have to say it was a gift from my dad. You know, when I was a young girl, he wanted to make sure that his daughter could break through barriers and do anything that she wanted to do. And after he spent a day of hard work, he would come home and run through algebra problems and multiplication tables with me, and helped me get my first job at an internet service provider in town. So while I was working there, I really fell in love with computers, went on to study them, and then pursued a career in that. So it took a lot of hard work along the way to accumulate that number, but I have to thank my dad for it.
Well, listen, your dad knew exactly what you were capable of. And some of us who have been successful in life have been very fortunate to have powerful fathers who realized that they could help us along the way. So, Debbie, you have also had tremendous success. Why did you decide to go into technology, and what happened in your childhood? Did you have a father who helped you along the way?
I did. You know, I always loved math and science, but after I graduated from college, I actually graduated with a finance degree, and I worked for a bank, and I was stuck in four walls in this cubicle and doing work with managing one book to another. And my dad worked in communications, and so I said, "Dad, you got to help me get an interview." And so I too went to a service provider and fell in love with technology, not for technology's sake, but watching how technology can really make a business impact and change businesses, and I fell in love with it.
And that was early in women in technology. I mean, now they're far more, certainly not enough. But Deb, that was, both of you were really in it very much earlier than most other people were. And was it something which you had to overcome being a woman? How was that for you, Sunny?
For me, yeah, it took me a long time. Well, I mean, it started, I was taking classes in undergrad and, learning how to program. And, I tried to fit in because I was the only female. I take that back. There was one other female in my class. She was my best friend. We sat in the front row together, but we wore men's clothing. We wore baggy clothing. Like, we didn't wear makeup. We didn't care about doing our hair, partially because we were undergrad, partially because we wanted to fit in with all of the guys around us. And that continued for a long time in my career, until one day I had a friend pull me aside, and, you know, she said, let's do some makeup. And so I kind of learned slowly, but for a long time, I thought if I just look like the guys and act like the guys, that they would accept me. And that's how it started.
And did they accept you?
It was hard. You know, yeah, they did. But, you know, Debbie and I were talking about this. There's a little bit of credibility that you have to continue to earn every single day. I have a lot of female friends in tech now that, you know, that we talk about how we have to get up and work 10 times harder, because we have to continuously prove ourselves. And that, you know, there's no problem with that. I'm happy to do that. But, you know, we're taking the red eyes. We're getting up at 5 a.m. to work on, you know, a new piece of code. That's what women are doing.
Yes, and it's hard. It's really hard. So Deb, this was, you know, you arrived in sales. Here you're a young woman. You're in sales in a tech industry. There are probably, you know, one other woman out of 1,000. And, you know, what was your strategy? How did you make such a huge success?
Yeah. Well, gosh, I remember starting early in sales, and I was one of few. So there were some women, and when I went into sales leadership, I was one of one in my certain group. So there were pros. So there were no lines to the women's restroom when thousands were at a sales conference. That was good. But it certainly was hard. I didn't feel like I was part of the club. And as Sunny said, I doubted myself and thought that I had to change to fit in. And I was labeled everything from, you know, cheerleader to dragon lady. And so finding yourself in that environment is tough.
Yeah, it is tough indeed. So, Sunny, you were so funny. You were saying to me, Silicon Valley is bros in hoods, which is, I think it certainly has been the description. Can you say that things have changed a little bit now? I mean, here you are. First of all, you have to tell us all about the SPAC, but you're probably one of the only women I know who's running a SPAC. Have things changed?
Since I've come here, they've changed. When I first moved to Silicon Valley and started digging in, I was one of few women. There were 4% at my level, and a lot of organizations today are still working really hard at changing that. Some of them have made really great progress, and you know, they've done that by working on their cultures and putting top women in leadership positions, so younger women have a place to look up towards and aspire to be. So it's not perfect. It's still hard, but it's getting better. I'll put it that way.
Well, that's hopeful. At least there's something positive happening. And I just want to remind all our viewers out there, I know many of you said that you would be joining us today. So please put your questions in, put your comments in. We'd love to hear from you, and we will definitely try to address as many of those as we possibly can. So, Deb, you left a very, very large company to go to a large company, but not quite as large, from Cisco to Dropbox. And, you know, you're an entrepreneur, actually, because you take things and you grow them. Can you talk a little bit about that technique and how you did that at Cisco and how you're doing it at Dropbox?
Yeah. So I have been in every aspect of sales, and my passion is to build and to lead transformation. I'm so grateful to Cisco because I really was all around the sales organization. I led inside sales and outside sales. I led direct sales, channel sales, outbound sales, inbound sales, regions as small as Northern California and as large as the world. I spent some time in sales operations too, doing acquisition integration and enablement, and also putting together offers to help our software business accelerate. So I think of myself as a general manager more than a sales leader, and just figuring out problems and building. I did get advice. I got advice from a leader, a senior vice president early in my career, was first line leader. And he said, we know you're good at sales. We know you're good at sales leadership, but as you go up through the company, you really need to have more of that operational experience to stand out. And I took that advice and made my career more of a jungle gym than a ladder.
That's very, very interesting, Deb. And I think that that's where many women perhaps don't do that lateral moving and moving up and then lateral again, because it's risky, right? Was there risk in doing that? And what were the risks?
Oh, sure. Yeah. The risk that, the reality was I was labeled as, oh no, she doesn't do these type of sales anymore. She's over here. And so to come back to where I wanted to be was hard, to rebrand yourself every time and create your own board of directors within the company, if you will, to help get back to those places. So it was hard because you get labeled in silos as you move around the company versus being celebrated for having diverse experience.
Wow, that is so political. It really is so political. And, I've seen it, and you've seen it in EWA. That's where we really help each other, because women who have been through that political morass of trying to work out how to be valid and still to get the right experience with the diversity of opportunities, we need each other to help each other along with that. So, Sunny, you went off and became an entrepreneur. I mean, when you were with Accenture, you had an incredible position. What led you to become an entrepreneur? And then tell us a little bit about the SPAC activity.
Yeah, well, when I was with Accenture, I was leading a number of teams globally in R&D. So I was leading advanced visualization, wearables, machine learning, robotics, 3D printing. You name it, anything. If it was brand new out there, we were working on it. It was an incredible experience. I then got tapped on the shoulder by leadership at Accenture to be the global business lead with Apple. So we built up some business together with Apple. Had a lot of great success with that. But I went to Stanford, and there I learned a lot about entrepreneurship, and I learned about a search fund, which is essentially a private SPAC. And after leading a number of teams globally with Accenture, I realized I really wanted to step in and lead a technology business. So running a SPAC and then or essentially a search fund was the best way for me to be able to do that. So my fund's looking to acquire a private technology company and the one that needs top-notch leadership. The idea is I'll acquire it with my investors and then step in as leadership day one and run it day to day. So that's a private SPAC.
What revenue level are you looking at for the acquisition company?
It's a small medium business, so 5 to 30 million in revenue and 2 above for EBITDA.
Okay, that's good, because I know there are probably people who are watching who run companies exactly like that. And put your comment up in LinkedIn and we'll make sure to connect with you afterwards. I know there are a number of comments in LinkedIn, actually, and if the producer will put them up, here's a great one from Teresa. She says, as a woman in technology from the beginning of her career at Bell Labs and AT&T, she was glad to be there. And yes, we need more female leaders in all parts of technology. Teresa, I couldn't agree with you more. And I know both of our guests are nodding their heads. Some of the other comments are from Dee Dee's Claw. How there, Dee Dee? I'm so glad you joined us. You're on the board of a SPAC, Colonel Group Holdings, focused on food supply chain technology. Wow, that is a very dysfunctional area right now. And on a business advisory board of Tealbook, a technology company approaching their Series B. Oh, they loved your analogy of the jungle gym versus a ladder. We need to be nimble. So
I can't take credit. That's Sheryl Sandberg's analogy, but it's still.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And Chick, so good to see you here. She says she's having trouble finding female developers. Do you either of you know or aware of companies that are focused on aggregating female talent? That is a great question. Okay, we'll go first to you, Sunny, and then to Deb, because I know both of you have answers. Go ahead, Sunny.
Yeah, there's a few really great organizations. The first one that comes to mind is called Women Who Code. I was an active participant in this. It's primarily in the Bay Area, but they have a national presence. And what they seek to do is to do what you're looking for, Chick, which is putting more women into developing roles. So I would suggest reaching out to them. And then if you get stuck, then just ping me on the side. I'm happy to connect you with others.
Absolutely love that. Deb, what's your thought on that?
Yeah. So Women in Code is great. There's a lot of different mentorships that really focus on young women and early in career. A lot of companies will go into either underdeveloped areas or underprivileged areas and invest in technology education. And a lot of work being done at the colleges to recruit early in career women into the technology field.
Yeah, and I seem to recall that Intel and other companies like Accenture actually give scholarships to women who are interested in technology to help them on their way. So Chick, but please make sure to connect with us on LinkedIn and we'll see what we can help to push you in those directions. Make sure you get what you need. I know that there are a couple of other questions and comments, so let's take one of them. Oh, Teresa, thank you for coming back. And also, what are you doing to attract more women to stay in STEM careers? Well, that was one of the questions I was going to get to, so thank you for that, Teresa. Let's talk to you, Deb. What are your thoughts? Because now you're in a leadership role where you're hiring in men and women, right? What's your thought on this?
Yeah. So, I'm happy to say, I think that at least what I've seen is the technology world has changed a great deal since I began my career years ago. So I'm happy to see progress. That said, just paying attention to diversity and inclusion and understanding the statistics and the metrics. I look at them all the time of how many women on my team, how many URM is on the team. What does the profile look like? And then what are the programs to promote diversity and inclusion? Because there's one thing to hire, but there's another thing to really bring folks into the team and have them lead and belong. So I think that most of the efforts for my team is really how do we have folks belong and shine and thrive.
And that's so important. You know, I'm on a board of a bank, and we're going to be talking about not only from the upper management point of view, but also from the board point of view. And I think if you can bring those groups of middle management, upper management, and board together in sync with a philosophy and a policy, you're going to see real change happen. So, Sunny, what are your thoughts about that?
You know, that's such a great question. It's perhaps the one that keeps me awake at night. I do it in a few different ways. One is I spend a lot of one-on-one time mentoring young women or just friends. You know, maybe they're stuck in maybe it's a political jam at work, or you know, maybe they're trying to figure out how to differentiate themselves a little bit. So I spend a lot of time mentoring and coaching folks, and then I stay involved in organizations that have a mission of being able to put women into STEM organizations. So one that I used to be very active involved in was Girls Who Code, which you know, we've talked about the importance of getting women exposed to STEM. What they do is go into middle schools and I think even elementary schools now, and they teach women how to code. So it's about getting them in front of it, getting them exposed to it, and then showing them that there's a path forward, that it's not so scary. It's not a bro fest per se.
And so what you're really saying is you got to get them in middle school, right? Or before? Yeah,
I think so. I mean, the younger, the better. There's some data that shows that when young girls are asked in elementary school what they want to be when they grow up, a larger percentage of them say that they want to study STEM than when they're asked in high school. For some reason, it's right around high school that their minds change and they all of a sudden want to go pursue something else. So middle school is ideal, but the earlier that we can get to them, the better.
That's such critical information. So let's pivot a little bit. Both of you are married with your mothers, you have children. Let's talk a little bit about that. Now, I know that you, Sunny, your little one is a lot younger than Deb's. How did that change your life and your approach to your career, or did it?
I was talking with some dear friends just yesterday about this very exact topic. There's some myths out there that, if a woman has a child, all of a sudden she's no longer focused on her career, and I don't think that that's true. She changed my life in that she added a lot more joy, and gave me something to really focus on and think about. That the things that I work on, I want to impact her world. I want to think about being able to make her world a better place to live in than the one that we inherited. So
and both of them, both your daughter and Deb's daughter, are honorary members of EWA. So we're just waiting for them to get to that point. Then we're going to bring them right in. So Deb, you have a teenager, which, with the last year in COVID, must have been just a horrific challenge for the whole family. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's been interesting for sure. I have a 15-year-old, and she's a sophomore in high school. So she started her freshman year in high school in her bedroom, and working from home and hearing the screams, like, a few doors down the hallway was fun. So she's back at school, thankfully, and she plays competitive soccer, so that keeps her super busy. And I think that for me, having a child made me a better leader. And I was a good salesperson. It was all about me. When I started leading early in my career, it was all about the team's performance. And I think that as I matured through being a mom, it became about how I give back to the people collectively as a team, and to my team, and how I give back individually to help rise and help people get to where they want to go in life professionally.
Yeah, it's much more holistic when you have a child, isn't it? You discover how vulnerable you are, and you never knew until you have a child, how incredibly, how much love you can feel for another human being. It's an amazing gift, to be sure. So let's see I know there are a couple of other questions. So if our producer can bring up one or two. There was one from Melanie in Scottsdale. She wanted to know, what do you most look for in bringing someone into your team? So Debbie, why don't you take that one to start?
Yeah. So the first thing is experience, and that's just table stakes that they have the proper experience. But when it comes down to a few, and who do you hire? I look for attitude, and do they have the passion, the drive, the desire? Because the tech world moves so fast. You're constantly figuring it out, and you need to do it collectively and collaboratively. So if they're somebody that has the drive, the desire, and the collaborative spirit to put ideas forward and work as a team, that's the winning equation for me.
When a couple of years ago, I taught executive education at Caltech for 24 years in strategic alliances. And I used to tell these tech executives who came into my program, you are the future of the world, because collaboration and partnering is really what the future is going to depend on. And that's exactly what you just said, Deb. I mean, if you don't have that collaborative mentality, if it's all about me, you just cannot advance the future of the organization. So now, Sunny, you're in a solo environment, although obviously you'll go into a company and run it. How does that appeal to you, and how do you bring that into your world right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really love and thrive in team environments, and one of the reasons I was drawn to this private SPAC model is an opportunity to lead a team. So I agree. When I'm thinking about somebody that I'm bringing into a team, I'm looking at their skills. Another thing I look at is, are they too worried about being perfect? So I'm looking for someone that's more focused on getting the team forward together, as opposed to making sure that they've got everything just lined up and perfect, exactly how they think it should be.
Oh, that is so true. Our producer tells me that we have a wonderful comment, so let's put it up and see. So nice of you, Milka, to give us this comment. Yes, this is the elephant in the room. Women carrying and bringing children into this world and caring for raising them and handling our careers. how much more we grow as leaders. There is no doubt that we are much more mature. Well, I certainly found myself much more mature when I handled my son's growth spurts and dealing with that. And I'm sure that both of you feel the same way. Any thoughts on that? Sunny, go ahead. You have a baby, so I mean.
Yeah, my daughter just turned 1 this past June. So, but I agree. I couldn't agree more. It's definitely made me a better leader. It's made me think about how the things that I work on are going to impact a bigger group of people, including my daughter. So I want the time that I have here to make a positive impact.
So, Deb, let's talk for a moment about time management, because, you know, now your daughter is, I don't know, what, 4 years from going, or 3 years from leaving and going to college. The time aspect of your life, and obviously being in an extremely high profile job in a very high profile growth company, how are you dealing with that aspect of your life right now and the family?
You know, I'm fortunate to work for a company with an amazing culture. My professional life and my personal life are somewhat integrated. So everybody on my team knows about Nicole, and she plays competitive soccer. And then we went to Florida to go to the national championship, and even I relate some of the things that she does into some of the leadership discussions we have, and vice versa. Nicole knows my team, and so it becomes integrated. And really, with this virtual first that Dropbox put forward is that, you know, you can work from anywhere. So if I need to travel, I can go and work and then meet the family later. So it's really an integrated life for me.
You know, there is so much that has changed over the past 20 years from a technological standpoint. I remember going to law school and then going to the supermarkets that would stay open 24/7 to do all my shopping at midnight after I'd finished with class and then studying. And of course, now everything is available online. So I think
I am a huge DoorDash, Instacart, every service that I can just have something working for me. It gives me time. So yes.
Yeah, you are a woman after my own heart. I haven't been into a supermarket in nearly 3 years and have no desire to go into one. So that's definitely the way to do it. And, you know, you have to do that. So we are very fortunate to live at this moment in time, even though it's been certainly very challenging over the past year. But I'm a cockeyed optimist, and I believe that life is just going to get better and better, and we're going to contribute to making the world a better place. So you are both amazing. I am so happy that we could bring you onto the program. Thank you for your time and your talent, which is spectacular. I wish we didn't have to leave, but I'm afraid that we're coming to the end of our half hour together. And I do want to tell the rest of our audience all about our next show, which is truly amazing. We have two incredible entrepreneurs in the food industry. We have, first of all, Julia Stamberger. Julia is the CEO of Spinning Wheel Brands, and she has founded, run, and grown multiple companies in the food industry. This is a startup which already has revenues and some incredible products. One of them is called Mosaics. There's another one called Sesame Milk. And these are plant-based products which are good for you to snack on. Isn't that a miracle? I absolutely love her products, and she is one of the sponsors of EWA as well. And with her, we have Nami Yamamoto. Nami is the first female CEO of Yamamoto Yama, which is a 400-year-old company. And her great-great-grandfather, many of her ancestors, created seaweed as an edible product. So when you go into a sushi restaurant and you order seaweed, you are eating the product that came from Yamamoto Yama. And in addition to that, they own the Stash Tea Company. So both Nami, as the first and only child who is a woman CEO of Yamamoto Yama, will be with us with Julia Stamberger. Please join us. It's going to be a fabulous show. And of course, I always leave you with a question. And tonight, the question is going to be, how do we get more young girls into STEM, and what are you going to do to make that happen? So please respond to me at my email, which is coming up on the screen. I hope to hear from you. I really want you to go to our YouTube channel, because this show and all the shows that we've done, which have all these incredible, exceptional women awardees on them, are all up there. You can subscribe. It's for free, and make sure to go onto all your social media and like us. And the show will be a podcast. It's going to be a podcast on Amazon Music and Spotify, iHeartRadio. So we will be all around you if you want to hear more insights from our exceptional women awardees. Thank you all. I look forward to seeing you on our next show. Bye, everybody.